5 nowych Souls-like'owych gier, które wychodzi w 2025 roku. O, dawaj.
Alright, what's going on, guys? The landscape of gaming as a whole has changed dramatically over
Ale koleś ma głos i tak gada.
the past few years, and one of the biggest changes comes from the impact of From Software. And though some may loathe to admit it, the new genre of Souls-like games is coming more and more to the forefront of new game releases. And if anything, the past few years have shown that other studios not named From Software are getting better and better at...
Bardzo dobrze wygląda w animacjach, ale Tamae gadałem i Tamae mówił, że tam niestety był taki jakiś problem ze staminą, z wyprowadzaniem tych ataków, że były puste openery na regenerację staminy, że tam coś było nie tak gameplayowo.
Replicating the magic of the Dark Souls games. So today I want to take a look out on the horizon and shine a spotlight on my personal top 5 Souls-likes that I'm looking forward to releasing in 2025. But as we get started today, if you want to stay up to date on all things Souls-likes and From Software, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And now let's get into it. Starting off the list today is one that looks very interesting, and that is Wu Chang Fallen Feathers, a Souls-like action RPG from the developer Lean Z and 505 Games.
Jakie fajne kadry. Takie fajne kadry, ale dlaczego z tyłu jest ta ostrość, a nie z przodu? Dlaczego tak to się rozmyło dziwnie?
From the developer Lean.
Ale jaki kadry zajebiste, jak z Soulsów, jak z jakiejś anime też wydarty, nie?
505 Games. Wu Chang takes place in a dark twist of Chinese history during the late Ming Dynasty, where a mysterious illness in the land of Shu is turning people into monsters. You play as Wu Chang, a female pirate who has awakened to the power of feathering and will fight.
Ładnie wygląda, ale tak trochę sztucznie bym powiedział. Też macie takie wrażenie?
To uncover the truth of what's actually going on. Now, one thing I noticed right off the bat
about
this game is that it draws a lot very directly from Software's games. Specifically the Bloodborne parry system. You can see a lot of various aspects from both Sekiro, Bloodborne, and they're clearly not afraid to say, hey, that worked over there, we're gonna put it in our game. So, the combat should be very familiar to any Souls player. But with that, we have an ability system here too, where Wu Chang can use feathering power to pull off some cool combos or martial arts. And the combat does look very refined. And out of the games on this list, I think this is one of the most true to form Souls-likes that we're going to be talking about. The game does lean very heavily into the horror aspect of things as well. It's all dark and moody. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy that take. Now, as far as I could tell, we haven't had any actual gameplay impressions of this so far. We've gotten a few announcement trailers and some long gameplay segments. And while I think everything we've seen looks great, I am really curious to see what the hands-on take is going to be. As of right now, Wu Chang is scheduled to release in 2025, so we'll have to keep our eyes out for an official release date. But as it stands right now, this is a game I'm really looking forward to learning more about. Up next is a Souls-like I've actually gotten to play myself, and that is First Berserker Kazan. And this might be the hardest Souls-like I've actually played, at least for the build they provided. First Berserker Kazan is set in the DFO universe and follows the forlorn General Kazan on a quest of revenge against the empire that betrayed him. Kazan is also a very true-to-form Souls-like game that anyone who has played the Souls games will immediately be able to pick up. But if I had to give a direct comparison, the game feels very much like a faster Rise of P, where they want you to rely on the parry more than anything, and you do have a dodge, but it's generally underpowered in comparison. One other aspect of the game that's at the forefront is the posture system of both the player and the enemies, where the majority of your damage is going to come from breaking the enemy's posture, opening them up for a critical hit. And there was a bit of a learning curve there. It took me a minute to get the hang of this and the way the game actually wants to be played. But what stood out to me the most in the demo I played was the boss fights. And like I said, this might be one of the hardest Souls-likes I've played, because while the bosses felt generally great to fight, I was stuck here for several hours, easily into double-digit attempts for each, but it wasn't a grueling time after each death. I was able to realize where
stamina jak w Dark Soulsie 2.
And how to apply it the next time. Again, for a direct comparison, it was a lot like Lies of P in that regard. Now, if you want a much more in-depth look at this game, I dropped a full video about it, detailing my impressions with the demo, but really at the end of it all, I just wanted to play more. And I am excited to see how the combat really opens up once you get to experience with all the abilities and builds you can create later on in the game. Now, First Berserker Kazan will be dropping on all platforms on March 27th, 2025, so not a super long wait, and it's definitely one you'll want to consider if you're in the market for other Souls-likes. Now, the next one we're going to talk about is self-admittedly not a Souls-like, but I wanted to put it on here because it looks really cool, and I think it's close enough. And this is Hell Is Us. Hell Is Us is an action-adventure game from the developer Rogue Factor, set in an alternate future where a civil war and a mysterious calamity have ravaged an isolated country. And as the protagonist, you'll be wielding special melee weapons to defeat the strange enemies that have popped up. But the cool thing about this is that you're accompanied by a drone, and that drone is your lifeline and is going to help you not only in exploration but combat too. And here's how they describe that combat.
So, like I said, combat is an integral part of the game. I do want to emphasize now that we're not a Souls-like game. The game is a lot more mid-core. It's have fun, get in it, and hack and slash. It doesn't mean it's easy. It's not overly hard. There's a learning curve. There's subtleties. There's little things that we've invented just for the flair and the flavor of Hell Is Us. It's very crunchy. I think the friction is pretty good, and I hope you'll enjoy it.
And the combat does look like a lot of good fun. But by far, the thing that's drawn me in the most about Hell Is Us is the art style and the setting. I really like the direction they've taken here.
Mam wrażenie, że to skończy jak wysokobudżetowy... Jezu, zapomniałem. Pamiętacie tą grę? Deweloper na Steamie? Jak Bleak Fate, no? I to wysokobudżetowy Bleak Fate.
It makes me want to dive into this world and story. But one thing that they have stated about this game that really play it even more is how they describe that they're not going to hold your hand on exploration. There's no map, there's no quest.
To mam wrażenie, jakby wszystko było z jakiegoś innego setu. UI jakby były sety z telefonu, potwory z jakichś Stranger Thingsów, a broń chuj wie z jakiegoś średniowieczno-futurystycznego świata.
They're not going to hold your hand on exploration. There's no map, there's no compass, there's no quest markers. It's you in the world and you have to figure it out. And I can always appreciate when a game trusts its players enough like that, and it goes a long way in terms of immersion. So this is definitely a game I'm going to keep my eye on, and I can't wait to learn more about it. As of right now, it's scheduled for release in 2025, no exact release date yet. So we'll just
te partikle z Unreala, ja pierdolę, jak ich nienawidzę, one są tak brzydkie.
As of right now, it's scheduled for
świecenia, te partikle, to jest taką tanizną to wali.
2025, no exact release date
to jest tak brzydkie.
So we'll just have to wait and see until more information comes out. The next game is also one that really intrigued me with its art direction. Ballad of Anara is a dark fantasy ARPG from Infold Games that will actually be a free-to-play game featuring several different playable characters. And one of their main selling points is a vast explorable world, which the players possess the ability to hop between dimensions of. They're known as emissaries.
Nie, to już brzmi jak totalne piekło. Jeżeli głównym atutem gry jest wielki świat do eksploracji, to wiesz, że będzie wielki, ale pusty.
Each emissary has their own class and abilities, which they'll use to help escort a young girl, who's the key to undoing the desolation that's befallen the land. This game looks really cool, and it does seem like there's going to be a lot of variety with the abilities in the different characters and how each one approaches combat. This game does seem to lean more into the hack and slash genre than Souls-like, but if you look at a lot of the enemy animations and some of the movements, those seem pretty familiar. Combat does appear to be weighty and crunchy, which I think is a great thing. But they continuously stress the environments and the world as their main selling point, and just by the look of it, you can tell the exploration is going really good here. We also see a lot of enemy variety, and they showcase a few boss fights, but man, the visuals in this game specifically are just insane. This game looks absolutely beautiful, but the big question we do have to ask is, with this being a free-to-play game, what is the monetization going to look? Is this going to be a gacha game? As of right now, we're not entirely sure, but from what we have seen, Ballad of Anara looks really cool. Like many of these games, we have a 2025 release date with no specific date yet, but I look forward to learning more about it. AI Limit is another one that a lot of people have probably heard about by now. There has been a lot of discussion about this game, as it released a demo not too long ago. Unfortunately, I was too busy to play that demo, but from people that did, the impressions are really positive. You play as the character Arissa, a blader, who is brought back to life with amnesia. So naturally, you try to figure out what's going on by repairing branches, which are essentially the game's bonfires. The comparison that I've seen thrown around a lot, mainly due to the anime sci-fi genre of the game, is Code Vein. However, unlike other Souls-likes, you don't have a stamina bar in AI Limit. Instead, you have a sync bar, which will fill up throughout combat, growing when you deal damage and decreasing when you take damage. And it essentially translates to your abilities and the damage you deal. The system seems very interesting. Aside from that, it seems to have a very familiar combat formula to Souls-likes. But one thing I have to give credit to with AI Limit is that they've been very transparent with the community. I've seen them around in comment sections on videos about this game, being incredibly open to feedback, and not shying away from what people would like to see changed to the final product. So this is one, again, I'm going to be excited to check out
ale
upon
tu życia
release,
też nie
because
ma,
I think
po
with
prostu
how much they
super.
have been listening to the community,
Ale
we could have a
kurwa
pretty great
ciekawe.
Souls-like by the time AI
Ciekawy
Limit
system
comes
życia,
out.
to
Now
mi
it
się
does seem to
podoba.
be releasing the same day as first Berserker Kazan, and I would like to play both of them, so that is a bit unfortunate, but if you want to learn more about it, there are a lot of videos of people that played the demo, definitely go check those out, but that is AI Limit. Now, one we gotta talk about that I thought would have been released by now is DLC for Lies of P. Lies of P was probably the most renowned non-From Software Souls-like that many believe got the closest to passing off as a From Software product. Now, we've been keeping an eye on the DLC release for this game for a while here on the channel, and a bit of news that we had covered was that the DLC was scheduled to release in the final quarter of 2024. But as you can see, that has come and gone, and we don't have it. However, internal documents from NeoWiz have revealed that there was a bit of an internal delay, and the new release date of this DLC is listed for the first quarter of 2025. Now, since that is not an official release date confirmation by the developers, we can't say that that's going to happen for certain, but I think we can take stock in the idea that this is going to almost certainly release in the year 2025. So we'll be on the lookout for that. But in the meantime, they did share a new image not too long ago of a sneak peek into the DLC. I know a lot of you guys are excited for this DLC. I'm really excited for this DLC. And of course, if we learn anything new about it, I'll be sure to update you guys here on the channel. So be subscribed for that. Now, I know the title probably says 5, but we have to at least throw in Elden Ring Night Reign. That's a dead given. And ironically, the one that deviates the most from the Souls formula is the From Software game on this list. Now, Elden Ring Night Reign takes the framework of Elden Ring, but flips it on its head. It takes the combat, but instead turns it into a hero roguelike, with elements of battle royales and extraction games, where you or a team of 3 players play as predetermined characters, loot, fight enemies, slay bosses, and
że challenge rany, że jakieś bingo rany, inne tego typu rzeczy działają. I mi się wydaje, że to jest idealna odpowiedź na pytanie ludzi. No dobra, ale przecież jakieś challenge rany, bingo rany i takie turnieje to robi 1% społeczności. A teraz czy 1% społeczności może wpłynąć na 90% społeczności? Oczywiście, bo From Software jest świadomy tego, do czego ludzie używają ich produktu i go dostosowują do tego, żeby to było po prostu jeszcze łatwiejsze, przystępniejsze i żeby każdy to mógł sobie sam zrobić.
Survive 3 nights, all while a Fortnite-style storm is closing in around you. It's an interesting twist, and it's going to be fascinating to see how this game actually plays out, but personally, I'm down for something new from Software, especially while we have all these other traditional Souls-likes to look forward to. But there is a network test for Elden Ring Night Reign that you can sign up for here in the coming days, so be on the lookout for that. Don't forget to sign up, and hopefully we'll all get to play it pretty soon. But out of all the games we talked about today, which of these are you most looking forward to? And have you already placed any pre-orders? Y'all let me know down in the comment section below. But with all that, if you enjoyed today's video, be sure to leave a like on it and subscribe if you're new around here, and I will catch you in the next one.
Fajne.